and I'm part of the school's communications team, and I look after our social media, and I will be moderating today's panel. We have 2 weeks until the application deadline, which is 12 Greenwich Mean Time on Tuesday, the 2nd of December. So this is your last opportunity to get your questions answered by those who know the MPP best, which is our amazing alumni. We have 1 hour to get through as many questions as possible, and a huge thank you to those of you who have submitted your questions in advance. For those of you who didn't, please do feel free to submit questions in the chat. My colleagues Beatrice and Sarah are on hand to answer any questions that the panelists may not get round to. We are recording this webinar, and we will be putting it on our YouTube channel, where you can find previous Q&As with our admissions team and our amazing current MPP students as well. So let's get started. I'm going to ask our panelists to please introduce themselves, and then we'll kick off with our questions. So Diana, if you could please introduce yourself, let us know what MPP year you're from and a little bit about what you're doing now.
Sure. Hello, everyone, and hopefully you can apply to the MPP. Thanks for the invitation, Sophie. I'm Diana Daher. I'm part of the MPP cohort of 2014-2015. It looks like a long time ago now. I'm currently the manager of democracy at Fundación Corona in Colombia, and also part of the board of People Powered and of the advisory committee of OIDP. I work to strengthen democracy worldwide using methodologies such as behavioral sciences, technologies, and democratic innovation broadly. Please let me know if I can help you in any way.
Perfect. Thank you, Diana. Tiago?
All right. So, hello, everyone. My name is Thiago. I'm from Brazil. I've just finished the MPP. Actually, my graduation was just 3 days ago, if you can believe that. And so, I mean, like right now, I'm currently waiting for a new contract that I'll have with the Global Security Program from Oxford. Is a research institution, research program hosted in Blavatnik School, in the Blavatnik School of Government, and in Pembroke College, researching organized crime. And they I started there because of as a research assistant because of my policy report through the MPP. Now I'm gonna work there until the end of the year, and I hope that I can make it into government, at some point, probably next year. But it's everything brand new. I was still a master's student just a few days ago, so let's see how it goes.
Amazing. Thank you, Tiago, and congratulations on graduating. On to Emma.
Hello, everyone. Great to meet all of you. My name is Emma Dreyer, and I was from the class that graduated in 2022. And I'm currently working for the UK local government, so working for Richmond and Wandsworth Council. And I work in inclusive education. So essentially, my role is on thinking about how do we create better policies to incorporate children with disabilities, particularly autism, within the mainstream schooling system here, which is quite a big challenge at the moment. And looking forward to speaking with you guys over the next bit of time.
Great, thanks, Emma. And Mona.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Mona. Really nice to meet you all and to be on this panel with all these other amazing alumni. So I was also part of the 22 cohort with Emma, so it's really nice to see you here. And so I am currently heading up the Office for the Director for AI Strategy and Preparedness in the UK government in the Department for Science, Innovation and Technology. So since I graduated, I did a few things. I worked on national security and resilience in the Cabinet Office. So that was very much about how do we set up governance and structures to manage all of the sort of national security risks and acute sort of risks. And then I worked briefly in the Treasury on growth and the budget. And then I joined the AI Security Institute a year ago now, almost a year ago, working on criminal misuse of AI. And I've just recently transitioned into this new role. So yeah, really, really open to answering any questions or any reflections. I'm also really looking forward to hearing what the other panelists have to say as well. So yeah, thank you, Sophie.
Great, thank you so much. So to start off with, it would be great to understand a little bit about what you were doing before you applied for the MPP, and then what motivated you to apply for the program. So Mona, perhaps we could continue with you.
Sure, thank you, Sophie. So I've been a civil servant in the UK since 2016. And by the time that I had applied for the MPP, I had been working for 5 years, and I had just done a few rotations in different departments: housing, trade, Brexit, COVID. And I was sort of coming out of this like crisis response phase of my career, doing COVID and Brexit at the same time. And it just gave me a lot of thought about how we make decisions in crisis and how we think about bringing in people who are vulnerable into that process when you're rapidly trying to come up with policy as you go. And that really made me think about how I just want to take a few steps back and reflect on everything that I had done so far, and basically wanted some better tools to like think about problems, complex policy problems, how to interrogate data better. And I came across the MPP, and that kind of motivated me to apply. But also, I think role models. I had seen another British, visibly Muslim woman do this program in 2015. And I think that was really important when it comes to representation. And it made me feel like I could also apply and have a shot at this program. I myself am not Oxbridge undergraduate educated. I didn't go to a private school. You know, that wasn't my credentials. I really came at it from the lens of this is my policy experience in government. And I really felt the MPP admissions team appreciated that. And so, yeah, I would say like that's what kind of motivated me to sort of get those better tools and, you know, sort of use the MPP as a springboard to do some more interesting work afterwards. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. That was lovely to hear. Tiago?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's right.
I didn't catch the question. Which was it?
So it's what were you doing before the MPP,
Oh,
and then what
sure.
motivated you to apply?
So I was a lawyer working in criminal law, but that was not what made me go to the MPP. I wanted to do a career pivot in general, and I had a history in activism. So differently from most of my colleagues, I didn't have a first hand-on experience with government or I don't know NGOs or management or any sorts. I was for 2 years the leader of the chapter of a political movement in my state in Rio, and I helped organize. Was the political coordinator of the organization's team of demonstrations against Brazil's former president between Brazil. You mean like into 2021, we organized a few demonstrations, 6 or 7 in total, um, in the defense of Brazilian democracy, and I had an important role in those. So I knew that I wanted to get involved with politics somehow, and I thought this would be a good way to transition. And that's how I did it. That's what motivated me to apply to the MPP and to other master courses related to that.
Perfect, thank you. And Diana?
Sure. I was working in peace negotiations in Colombia. At the time when I started the MPP, there were negotiations with a guerrilla group in Colombia, and I was working at the Ministry of Interior as part of the team that was trying to put together the negotiation position of the government on citizen participation and democracy. I My background is in law, so I used to have a perspective from the legal background. So I wanted to have a broader perspective on policy to enrich the advising that I was doing on citizen participation and democracy. So I thought that the MPP was a really good opportunity to continue learning and having a more profound view. So as when I went back to Colombia, I could do a better job in citizen participation and democracy, which is precisely what I'm still doing.
Great. Thank you, Joanna. And Emma, and I wonder also, Emma, if you might be able to speak a little bit about coming from perhaps a less traditional policy background as well. That's one of the questions that we most frequently get asked is, can I apply for the MPP if I don't have come from a traditional policy background? And the answer is yes. Yeah, Emma, if you could speak a bit more on that, that'd be great.
Of course. Well, I'm definitely proof that you can come and you can do the MPP if you haven't come from a traditional policy role. As I was working on it as a practitioner, specifically occupational therapist, although I know not everyone will be familiar with that term, but I was working in a government hospital, quite a rural hospital in South Africa. And I had very little to none background in policy. I hadn't studied it before, I hadn't really worked in it, but I was very eager to learn as I felt working in a government hospital that there were lots of different systemic kind of policy areas that were failing the system. And that's essentially what motivated me to apply to the MPP, because I was very interested in seeing if I could have a greater impact if I worked at a more systemic level or policy level. Whereas I was at that point working on a one-to-one kind of basis, working with patients or working in schools or early childhood development centers. And I think when you get that experience, it brings a lot, you really come to the MPP with a great strength of really knowing what the ground level experience looks like. And you really do have a value to add to the MPP, even though a lot of your classmates will have very strong policy backgrounds. So I really encourage those who are working on the ground level to apply to the MPP, as I just found it so rewarding and interesting. And it really gave me what I was looking for, was to feel confident in being able to apply to the more kind of systemic level roles. And yeah, I think that is the amazing thing about the MPP, is that you do get people from all the different levels working in government, and those who are on the grassroots level really have value to bring.
Amazing. Thank you, Emma. That's great. So the MPP is an intense 1-year program. And we get quite a few questions about what is the workload like and how manageable is it? How did you manage it? Tiago, I think especially having just graduated from the MPP, could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. It's when you have a 1-year course in with so much to do, so much to study in so little time, you end up having to read a lot and to it's part of the what you're signing up to do. But at the same time, I don't know, the MPP is such a beautiful experience, and you get so much time to meet with friends and to encounter new people. I think one of the best things about the MPP is how it's tailored for us to meet new people and to learn from our peers, and you get plenty of opportunity to do that. I I've just finished the program, and I can safely say that I have friends for life that I made on the MPP. I'm very glad I have this opportunity. So it's brilliant. It's yeah, of course there will be hard work, but there is also plenty of time to do many other things.
That's great. Thank you. I think another one of the frequently asked questions is how much scope does the MPP provide for you to explore your own policy interests? So I'm wondering perhaps, Mona, could you tell us a little bit about the types of policy issues that you explored throughout the MPP?
Yeah. So I honestly, I think I'm your quintessential generalist civil servant. So I didn't really have like a policy anchor that I was particularly trying to like deepen during the MPP. But I will say one thing, which was I've always been really interested in how you integrate data and analysis on inequality or just generally equalities data into policymaking. And I remember I was doing the law module, so law and public policy, and I was in a seminar, and seminar was being taught by a really amazing academic from the law department. And I approached him at the end and I said, I'd love to do like, would you consider joining me if I organized a roundtable on how we integrate the Equalities Act into policymaking? And he was like, yeah, I'd absolutely be happy to do that. So I just think like if you've got like a particular interest, I think just know that you're not just doing a course, you're in the University of Oxford. There are academics in all departments in that university that you can engage with and deepen your knowledge. I remember also asking one of the philosophy professors if he wouldn't mind marking extra essays if I wrote them to get feedback on my writing style if I wanted to. Safe to say I did not end up doing that. But I was well intentioned. And so he was like, yeah, of course, I'm happy to do that. So yeah, so I just think that was really interesting. But I think in your final year, there are electives that you can choose that are more tailored towards your interests beyond the sort of foundational core modules. And I thought they were really interesting. And I purposely chose modules that I had very little knowledge of. So like public corruption, for example, because Professor Christone is, one of the luminaries in this field. So like, why not? So I just think that was how I chose to approach my sort of policy exploration on the program. But Thiago, I know you're just fresh from the MPP, so you'll have really interesting takes, I'm sure.
I'm so sorry, but I think I can help on this one. I wanted to do research specifically related to public security and, organized crime. That was something I really wanted to do. And, of course you have and you have the space in the MPP to look for your own interests. And I'm living proof of it because like I don't know, as she said, as Mona was saying, like at our final term, you can choose between a vast array of options. One of them was into transnational organized crime. That was how I got into contact with Professor Annette Idler, who is going to be my employer until the end of this year. So like I got I was able through the MPP to actually do research in a field that I wanted to delve deeper in. And Mona also said something very important, which is you're part of a whole network that is called the University of Oxford, and that's if you make good use of that, you have you have a key to the whole world. Like my very dear friend of mine was very interested in industrial policy. He is very interested in industrial policy. So he, through his Oxford email, like he mailed a bunch of professors from the Oxford University, but from different departments like the Department of Economics and so on. And it was also through through this reach out that he did that he took a coffee with a professor and then eventually joined also this research program in the Department of, I think, International Development or something like that. So you do have space to you know y- Oxford gives you the opportunity to find and to reach out to many people and specialize in whatever you want to do.
Great. Thank you so much, Tiago. Yeah, another element of the MPP that they've really worked on developing in the last few years is the clusters, which are where students interested in the same policy issues can get together with professors and discuss those, whether that's global security, sustainability, social health, plenty of different topics. So moving on to Diana, looking back on your MPP experience, was there a project or a class or a moment that you can think of that had a really significant impact on your learning?
Yes, sure. I just want to jump in to answer that question to Tiago's answer, actually, which is the opportunity that the MPP and the Blavatnik and Oxford broadly provides to pursue your interests. I was very keen to explore and dig deeper into democratic transformation, and at the time on peace building. And um, the MPP allowed me to connect with people from Oxford broadly that were working on the field. For instance, the Oxford Transitional Justice Research Network and professors at Latin American Center that were also working on the field. And there was this aha moment that for me was very important, which was I wanted, even though the MPP was really opening in terms of what I wanted to do, I knew that at the time when technology was starting to emerge as a very important issue in democracy, I wanted to dig deeper into that. So I started to connect with different people that were working on the intersection between technology and democracy, and that allowed me to go into a whole new project as a PhD. Actually, I did after the MPP, what I immediately did was a DPhil at the Faculty of Law in the Social Legal Studies Center on technology and democracy. So it was a really good step to take for what makes sense for my journey, and to understand that the whole world that the MPP opened for me allowed me to make this huge step that before getting into the MPP, I was not. I did not even imagine that I was going to be able to do that. So, and that aha moment was actually when I was applying for the summer project. There was this big opportunity with an organization called Purpose, that work in the intersection between citizen participation and technology. And I work with them to set up an organization in Colombia that's still working, and I'm now working with them from my organization. It's called Movilizatorio, and that was like where I said, okay, this is very important. This is going to be very, very big in the next years. I want to have the skills and knowledge when this becomes like a huge trend in Colombia. And then I did the summer project and then the PhD, and helped me to get into where I am today.
Perfect. Amazing. Thank you, Diana. We have a question here from Maria, who's asking if there's a specific core MPP module, such as economics, law, politics of policymaking, which one do you feel best equipped you to navigate the real world political challenges and compromises necessary for policy implementation? Emma, could I come to you for that one?
Yes, of course. It's a really good question. And I would say the simple answer that it's a combination of them that actually makes a difference, because you do kind of want to have the foundation to think about something from different angles. But if I was going to choose one that helped me the most, or has helped me the most, is probably politics of policymaking, because as I said, I didn't come from a traditional policy background. So I had very limited kind of knowledge around politics and how it impacts what truly happens. I had more of an understanding of kind of research, and I didn't really recognize that even if we sometimes had all the research, it didn't always filter into the policy for whatever type of political reason that might be. So I found that course really helpful in thinking about who are the stakeholders, how do we evaluate power, how do we think about who has influence versus who has kind of hierarchical power. And that's really helped me in my role now. And I'm sure will continue to help me in really whatever type of role I pursue.
Great, thank you, Emma. So the MPP also isn't solely an academic experience. So it would be great, Mona, perhaps if you could talk a little bit about what life is like more broadly as an MPP student, both academically and socially.
Yeah, of course. I think it's, where do I even begin with this? It's such a socially intense experience, I think. I don't know if Emma, if you agree what it was like. Being on the program, you're suddenly inserted into this mini globe, basically. And yeah, in one building, I think the location makes a difference. And the classes and lectures, when you start the program or the foundational modules, they pack everybody into one lecture room almost. And so you're really hearing a breadth of views and you're really like mingling and talking. And you get to a point by the second term where there's just too much on actually. And you need to take space for yourself. And I say that that's a sign of, that's a good thing. What I'm trying to say is that there's such a healthy and vibrant social community outside of the program, and you're going to meet so many people from around the world. And actually, I find myself having to introduce myself for the first time in a long time, and people who had not, interacted with somebody perhaps from my background, and that was really interesting as curiosity, a newfound curiosity in people and in each other. So I think like it's amazing. And if you want to deepen your understanding and knowledge of Asia and what's like to work in Asia, you can meet people from that continent and get to know different nuances and different countries and cultures. And I think, I was on the student body and, we had organized a culture day and we did lots of like socials and events and people would do debates and we organized our own events outside the formal program. So I think that was really fun. And yeah, I think you see people go on a journey throughout this program. People enter and leave quite different. And that's not to scare people. I think it's to say, you either come out of it knowing who you are really well, or you come out of it, asking yourself more questions about what it is that you want to do. And that can only be a really good thing. But yeah, I'm going to say one really funny story, which is, I'm not going to say who, but someone in the faculty was like, your cohort is the cohort that reads the least from the curriculum. And I think they were just sort of saying it in a jokey way, like, you guys don't read enough. You guys are just socializing too much. But we thought we were quite academically engaged. So perhaps that says something to the experience that we had that year. But yeah, I'll stop yapping.
Thank you, Mona. That's some really lovely reflections there. So when you apply for the MPP, your application will be assessed against three main criteria, and that is being able to demonstrate academic excellence, a strong commitment to public service, and clear leadership and impact. But I'd be curious to hear from our panelists, from your experience, what qualities or approaches helped you and your classmates to succeed on the program. Perhaps we could go to Tiago.
I'm sorry, the question was the qualities in terms of the application or during the program?
Yeah, standout qualities from yourself or your classmates that you think really helped you to succeed on the MPP.
Well, I think succeeding in the MPP is a subjective thing, like for some people it was earning a distinction and, studying hard. For others was like about learning with your peers, and then socializing skills are of, utmost importance. In general, I think it's very important to find a balance between the two of them, because the program is, so much fun, and during the fun, it's when you meet so many people, who who enlighten your experience with, their knowledge and their expertise. So I would say be open and, get to know more people. This is, it would be and will be very important for you guys when you know, are an MPP candidate.
Thank you, Tiago. So the MPP is and always has been an incredibly diverse cohort. This year's MPP class of 141 students is represented by 63 countries. And it's something that the school is really proud of, and it adds incredible value to the program. Emma, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about the benefits that you felt from studying alongside a globally diverse cohort.
Sure, that was definitely my favorite part of the MPP, is how diverse and interesting perspectives were within my classmates. I remember on the first day, Nairi asked, or the head of the school asked, who do we think are the best leaders in the world? And everyone shared such different leaders and perspectives. And from that, you could really recognize how we all came from such different worldviews. And despite that, we were given so many opportunities to work together. So it created this kind of microcosm where you can have very, very different thoughts and different views on how the world should be, but you can still come up with ways and come up with solutions to big problems. And we don't often, well, hardly ever get that experience, because we kind of either come from one country or work with people in a similar upbringing, whereas this forced you and required you to really brainstorm on how you're going to solve policy challenges despite your differences. And the MPP created that by, one of the ways was creating policy challenges. So you had to work in groups and you had to work towards kind of coming up with solutions together. And I really love that, because it kind of tried to simulate what it might look like in a world stage when you do come from such different desires, incentives, backgrounds. And I just found that such a helpful experience for me going forward. And kind of following on from the previous question is, what do you need to succeed? I would say the primary thing for me is just being able to listen. And I think especially in the small groups, when you get to work in kind of smaller groups of 3 and 4, you really get to kind of understand why someone has come to their perspective, and you then can kind of sympathize or recognize why it is that you might be different. And I just found that really helpful to resolving conflict and moving forward as a unified group.
Thank you so much, Emma. That's lovely to hear. So another quintessential part of being at Oxford is being part of a college. So your college will be your home base. It's where you'll find meals, social events, sport clubs, a library, and they can be a huge part of your MPP experience. And we get lots of questions about how do you choose your college and what's the experience like. Diana, would you be able to take this one?
Sure. I still have questions about that. Actually, I'm something that I have learned and having applied and lived experience into college. Actually, I was at St. Anne's and Green Templeton College at St. Anne's when I was at the MPP and GTC in my PhD. It's that there's not one straight answer to that question. But I can share some insights. One is that it's good to check what colleges have scholarships for the MPP and to apply for those colleges. For instance, when I applied to GTC, they had some scholarships, and usually the colleges that fund students, well, have their students living with them. So it's a good practice to check which ones offer some scholarships. The other thing is also to check the broader background of the college. There are some colleges that are, for instance, affiliated with certain centers that are that do particular research or work. For instance, St. Anthony's College is affiliated with the Latin American Center. So many students that come from Latin America usually go to St. Anthony's due to that affiliation. Another thing to check and also bear in mind if the college has only graduate students or both undergrads and graduate students. That is useful because of the environment you will be at. If you prefer to have an environment with mainly graduate students, then try to apply to a college that has only graduate students. If you also want to get into conversations with undergraduate students and have a more rounded experience about both undergrads and grads, then try to apply to one of the colleges that has both. And the last insight is there's also the history connection of the college. There are amazing colleges such as Christchurch that are beautiful, have these lovely premises where even Harry Potter was filmed. So there are people that put a lot of weight into that. So if that's something that you like, don't hesitate into applying to one of those colleges. But those are some of the perspectives that might be useful when applying to one.
Amazing. Thank you, Diana. That's so helpful. You touched on scholarships there, and we're really proud of the school to be able to offer a real wide variety of scholarships. And this year, 76% of students received a full scholarship and 11% received partial funding. For those of you who did receive scholarships, could you talk a little bit about the process or how you went about getting it and the impact that it had? Mona, I understand that you were at the time of Duke of Cambridge Scholar, which is now the Prince William Scholarship. If you could talk a little bit about that.
Yes, so I applied for, at the time, Duke of Cambridge Scholarship, which if you are a UK student and I think it's for people who work in government, I could be wrong, or in the public sector, it's a really good scholarship that covers your tuition fee and living costs. So I was extremely lucky to be a recipient of that scholarship, because without that, it would have been really difficult for me to have joined the program, honestly. And the process for that was to draft a different personal statement. But to be honest, I found that using quite similar material to my personal statement for the program sufficed for the scholarship, just in case people here are worried or short for time. I think that, using good material where you have is okay. I also looked at different colleges, like Diana was saying, and what specific scholarships they had, so that I was able to prepare for a contingency if I didn't get the scholarship. And the Duke of Cambridge Scholarship, now Prince of Williams, is linked to University College, which is, I think it was the college that initially first supported the MPP, where the program was first held. So yeah, I had a really good I wouldn't say it's a scholarship where you're part of a network. I think there are some scholarships like that on the MPP. There are other students. There isn't a network, and you don't necessarily attend specific events. You're not going to meet Prince William, if anyone here was thinking that. Unless it's changed now, Sophie. So send me the invite, please. But yeah, but I think the important thing is that it must be some kind of benefactor behind it, and they support the programs. Yeah.
Thank you. And yeah, as I said, there are a number of different scholarships, so please do have a look on our website, and they are all listed there, and all of the criteria for those. So moving on to life after the MPP. So the MPP doesn't end after graduation. Alumni become part of a global community of policymakers. So Emma, if I could go to you, how has the school's network, whether that is faculty, fellow alumni, staff, supported you in your professional journey since graduating from the MPP?
Yeah, sure. In many ways, I can say from each of those. So let me briefly just touch on those. So in terms of like classmates, the community is still very active. So I live in London, and we have many MPP classmates still here. So we often meet and share our challenges, and we all are mainly working in the policy areas. So we have just so much to learn from one another, and we meet together. There's kind of organized events where we all meet, and whether it's online or in person. So it's just incredibly active in terms of feeling close to your classmates, despite having graduated in 2022. In terms of staff members, I had the opportunity to get to know one of the staff members at BSG very well while I was there, because of my interest in educational policy. And she really helped me get involved in something called the Education World Forum. And I've been able to be a part of it for the past 3 years, actually, since I was a student, which has been an incredible opportunity, only kind of allowed by BSG. And now they also let about 5 students every year attend. And it's where I got to meet the education minister from South Africa twice now, the education minister in the UK, and it's basically the biggest meeting of education ministers in the world. So it was just, and is such an incredible opportunity to be a part of, and I got to speak at it this past year. So that's just one of many opportunities that I've been provided with and supported with by the BSG community.
Great, thank you. I'm wondering if any of our other panelists have an example of some collaboration that they've worked on since graduating, or some advice that they've received.
I can jump in. I have 2 examples. During the pandemic, I was working at the Institute of Public Studies of the in Colombia. I was directing it. It's an institute, a research institute that trains public servants in Colombia, and we were basically training digital transformation and doing a lot of research as well on how to deal with the pandemic. And we had an opportunity to collaborate with the Go Lab of BSG. And another example was actually when I started that position, BSG was really helpful, giving me advice, also portraying my profile, and it was, the school is actually very proud of our achievements. So it's very nice also to have that that voice from the school once in a while when you achieve something, saying, yeah, well done, and also learning from other people's achievements.
Lovely, thank you, Diana, for stepping in there. Mona, I wonder if in your work, whether you could share a moment in your career when something you learned or experienced during the MPP has informed your approach to policy now.
I think it gives you better conceptual tools to think about problems. And that really depends on whether or not, you're doing all the reading and you're engaging critically with the course. The main takeaway for me is that it's given me a global network that I can always tap into if I need to understand perspectives of how a given policy problem is landing in a different country, or yeah, I think that's been really helpful for me. I think the thing is, I think it's a really important thing to differentiate is that it's not an MPA where you're going to be going. An MPA would be a bit more operational, perhaps. It might go into the nitty gritty of how you develop and pass a law, perhaps, in a country. This is more about ideas for me. So as a civil servant, you know, I work a lot with ministers, I write briefing, I, you know, think about how I can get a cross-government program up and running. Those types of skills are very specific to the UK and UK government. So that's not the kind of thing I was looking for in the MPP, to be honest. I think the read across is that you're a better thinker and operator. So yeah, perhaps like not tangible, but more like your personal impact should be more. Hopefully, you come out of it a better public servant, which is what I think the program is really trying to get at. So yeah.
Great, thank you. And Tiago, I wonder, being very new to post MPP life, if you could talk about just some of the key takeaways from the MPP that you will now be taking away and implementing into your career.
Well, as I said, I didn't have previous experience working in government or in public policy, so the entirety of the course was extremely valuable to myself, and I think I'm now prepared to what I really want to do. And my passion in life was always politics, and now if it's electoral politics, if it's, you know, another way to work within government, I'm very excited with both of those possibilities, and I feel that now I'm ready for the task. Um, Besides that, I think the I don't know, I'm still emotional about the the number of people I had to say farewell to on Sunday, for instance. I really, really, really I got to meet like such, you know, impressive and incredible people. And I know that I'm not talking here just about professional life, even though this also counts, but the connections you make will stay with you. I'm sure of it, because I did make, you know, very good friends during this course, and this will stay, and this is important too. Yeah, and the MPP is very good in creating and fostering these connections, you know. You have 2 weeks of induction at the beginning of your course, instead of the usual only one introductory week that most courses have. And this is super helpful because in 2 weeks you feel like that you have, you know, as you had met these people like 1 year ago or something like that. It's very intense, you know, like 1 year. At the same time, it goes quickly. It also feels like I had an entire life in Oxford, and that those people, had always been there. And it's very funny. It's very interesting. It's very valuable in general.
Great, thank you, Tiago. The school is always such a buzz during those 2 induction weeks with students running all around and getting to know each other, and yeah, it's always really lovely. Emma, if I could go to you next. So part of the MPP is also equipping people to be able to bridge sectors from business, civil society, health into public policy. I wonder if you could talk a bit about how having that cross-sector perspective has been valuable in your career.
Yeah, sure. So I learned huge amounts from my classmates, and we had kind of small study groups. We had lots of group work. So during the MPP, I was learning every day just from my classmates. And of course, in the lectures, we're also taught through many different lenses of sectors. Post MPP, although I've remained primarily in education, I was working initially in UNICEF on social impact funds, and now I'm working kind of more in local government. So despite it being education, there's still so many sectors which I need to be aware of to be able to make appropriate decisions. So having worked with classmates from many different sectors has helped me work in the professional world with individuals from the different sectors, because you realize that you don't need to be an expert in every field, but you need to have an understanding of what questions to ask. And I think that the MPP has equipped me with knowing what questions to ask of individuals from different sectors so that I can feel more confident in the decisions that I make within my specific field. So that's been kind of my biggest benefit from the MPP and where I am working today.
Great, thank you. So we have just about 5 minutes left. So I'm just going to take a final question from the Q&A box, and then one of my own. So we've got, if I could ask this to all of our panelists, what do you wish you had known before starting the MPP? So if we could start with Mona.
What would I wish? I think it depends. I think spend a little bit of time thinking about your intentions and what you want to get out of this program. That's what I would do looking back. I think I just went straight into it. I think I would want to recognize that this is not just an academic program, it's a professional program too. And I wouldn't want to lose sight in hindsight of prioritizing my professional growth while I can. I think I focused quite a lot on enjoying myself, and that's a good thing to do. But I wish looking back that I had thought a bit more deliberately about where I would land by the end of the program. So I think just, having a sense of where you want to get to at the end, a bit of an informal roadmap doesn't hurt. And you can always calibrate as you go along. But it's nice to have some kind of informal plan to help you navigate this. So yeah, I think looking back, and I think that's what I wish I'd known looking back before I'd applied. And that you're gonna I wouldn't want to be so nervous about the fact that I hadn't gone to a highly prestigious university for my undergrad, or these things would work against me. So just having some confidence in what you're bringing to the table. So yeah.
Great, thank you. Tiago, what do you wish you had known before applying for the MPP?
Honestly, I think I wish I had known a little more about colleges. I didn't know anything about, colleges in general, the college system. So I just, left an open application. I ended up, having I liked the college. I ended up in it's St. Catherine's College. But but I don't know. I think that my tip for most of you would be, uh, you know, maybe research like good places in Oxford for you to be. Like, look, where do you want to live, and accommodations in those colleges. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, a friend of mine from the MPP stayed at Jesus College, and they have, for a very good price, their accommodation is in the city center, and they have a double bed with an ensuite. But other colleges will put you, I don't know, in far away from the city center, or in far away from BSG, and you have to share share the bath and share, so this does make a difference in terms of like the life you have in Oxford. It's not easy to right now to give you advice on more than 40 colleges, But I believe that, just by sheer force of Google and so on, you guys will be able to see, for instance, oh, Green Templeton is close to BSG, so this makes sense. And Jericho is a lovely neighborhood, but other colleges might not be as fitting. So I would look into that. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Tiago. That's a very helpful tip. So over to Diana about what you wish you knew before applying for the MPP, and also if you have any advice for those who are thinking of applying today.
I think that this is also an advice, actually, more than knowledge, something that I will like to have more before starting the MPP, or actually at the start, was a more humble attitude, and actually knowing that I do not need to know it all, that I'm there to learn. Something that I remember when I started the MPP was like feeling really overwhelmed. There were so many amazing people. The students that were there with me, I just loved being with them, and I was very impressed by their life stories, and when you're in that environment, is very common to feel that you're not good enough and that you need to prove yourself, and to have like this imposter syndrome. So I remember being very anxious. I need to know this, I need to know this, I'm not good enough. And then halfway there, I realized that I did not need to prove anything. I was there to learn, to enjoy, to to acquire more skills to do better in life afterwards. So it's good to have a humble attitude, and an understanding that whatever you're learning, you need to learn it there and then, and it's good to not know everything, and to be open to fall and to learn from the experiences.
Lovely. Thank you, Diana. And lastly, Emma.
I'll keep mine short and sweet, and it's just go for it, apply, you will never regret it, and it's definitely going to be a life-changing experience. So do it.
Perfect, Emma. Thank you. What a great note for us to finish on. Thank you so much to our amazing panelists for your time today, and for everyone here who took the time out to join us for this webinar. Remember, you can rewatch the session on YouTube, as well as all of our other Q&A sessions. The MPP deadline is 2 weeks today, the Tuesday, the 2nd of December, 12 Greenwich Mean Time. We're really looking forward to receiving your applications. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Best
Thank
wishes
you.
to all of you.
Good luck.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye. Good luck, everybody.
Bye bye, everyone.